Hello, it's Dana here with Love Sola Flowers. You can check us out on our website, lovesolaflowers.com, to purchase any of our flowers or supplies. We also have a community group on Facebook. It's facebook.com/group/lovesolaflowers, where you can get tips and tricks and inside, scoop for your projects. And you also get some feedback. Also just encouragement and a community of people who like to do the same things, which is really fun. We are going to actually go back to a little bit of the basics tonight. We're going to talk about stemming some difficult flowers, and just some tips and tricks on how to get some good stemming in there. Our tutorials always end up on the YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/lovesolaflowers. Make sure you subscribe and check in frequently for new videos. Also, make sure that you set your notifications up on Facebook so that when we do post, you get to see that, so you know when we're posting new videos as well. So I've got my hot glue gun here. I use a mini glue gun, and the wires I cut them short just for the sake of the video and it being in the screen. But I use 18 gauge wires. They're stiff enough where you can, get a good strong hold there, but it's also flexible enough where you can bend them and things. So that's what I usually use. If you're making bouquets, you could always get stem covers and cover the wires. But also there's a whole lot of reasons why you want to stem without just making a bouquet, if you're making a box or other arrangements where you're sticking it in foam as well. So again, I've got my wire here. I'm just going to show you on the basic flower, one that's kind of easy. If it's just flat back and ready to go, I'm just going to put my glue right on my flower. I'm going to take my wire. I usually do a little swirl around just to make sure I get it all covered, and I'm going to push it in. Here's a few tips. You don't want to push real hard. You're going to go right through your flower and onto your hand, and that does not feel good. Not only do you poke yourself, but you burn yourself. But you do want to go in enough that you're not going to be like hanging out on the edge and it flop off. So even after I just stick it in still wet, I can swing it around and it's not going to go anywhere. I can kind of flick it around and it's in there nice, but it hasn't gone through the other end. Again, when you're first learning how to stem, take it nice and slow. Don't push so hard. Even if you feel like a little bit of pushback, then just play around and twist it a little bit. You don't want to push harder. You want to just kind of take your time doing that. So again, some of these two, these ones tend to be like really tightly wound. If that's the case, again, you're going to want to get yourself the glue there, but you're going to want to kind of rotate it around, because again, if it's really tightly wound and the wire's not going in super easily, the thing about it is that you have the tendency to want to push harder, and again, you're going to hurt yourself. So again, spinning that around, and then you're set. I'm going to show you how to do a few harder ones, or ones that have like backs that are a little different. So for flowers like this, I like to say they have like their big booties here. They're very, very long and a little crazy. We're going to snip those down before we stem them. You could use a scissor. I've got my clippers here. So, and those strings, I usually just kind of leave them. I don't really try to pull at the strings because you don't want to undo your flower. So I just leave them there and they get glued in. So I've made it where it's a flat back like the rest of them. I'm going to just put a little glue there now. Again, I twist those strings around. I don't like to pull any strings that have kind of frayed up a little bit because I don't want to take my flower apart. And then that way I can put my thing in and I don't have to go through that big hanging off piece that was there. And now I've got a perfectly stemmed flower for that. I'm going to show you another one that I say again that has like almost like a big booty here. If you have a loose petal like that, you can either pop it off or glue it down. That one was just a little extra. I didn't need it. So again, with these, so say this flower, I've got this extra chunk because that's the center of it. I don't want to glue in this, and I'm just going to show you why I cut this off. If I were to put this in this spot here, and I get halfway through, when I put it in a bouquet, if I bend it, this whole thing will just break off. And then you're left with the head of your flower being popped off. So I always take that part off, that little extra nub that sticks out. And again, I make it nice and short. You don't want to cut it too short because you don't want to cut into where the flowers are tied. But you do want to cut it off so that you have just a small nub and a small short spot to get your wire in. This one nicely has a hole in it. So you're just going to go right in the same hole. And there you go. And I've got 2 more flowers just to show you about stemming that maybe you've had a little tricky time with. So this one, it's an orchid, so it's kind of flat and it's kind of like very small. I am going to just clip a little bit. Sometimes when you clip them down a little bit, it leaves a bigger hole in there. But the best thing for these is to just hold it flat down in your hand. I'm going to put the glue on the back and I'm just going to twist that in. I'm going to hold my hand nice on the front. I'm not squeezing hard, but I'm holding it firm enough that I'm not pushing it through. And there you go. Now you have it on there again. Now the last one I'm going to show you is one that people tend to have the most difficult time with because you got to look a little bit before you stem it. But this little one, any of the ones that have like a thistle in the center, but I'm going to show you something, and it's a little secret. So you see that little flappy thing back there? If you lift up the flap, which I do with my wire, there's actually a hole. See, there it is. So again, you're going to lift that little flap up. Maybe yours doesn't even have a flap. Maybe you can just see the hole right away. But if yours does, you should see that little hole now? I lifted that little flap up. Now there's a hole. And I'm going to actually just put glue right in that hole. Okay? And I'm going to put my wire right in that hole as well. Okay? So it's secret. It's a little hidden secret hole there for you to be able to stem that. I know we get a lot of questions about that one because if you didn't know that hole was hiding there, it could be a little tricky trying to get a wire in it. But once you flip that little piece back and you see the hole, again, if it's already opened and you can see the hole, obviously you're just going to glue it right in there anyway. But that's just a good way to, get your wire in when it has a thistle center.